This year, the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in Memory of Alfred Nobel is awarded to Professor Claudia Goldin at Harvard University for having advanced our understanding of women's labor market outcomes. On behalf of the Lund University School of Economics and Management, and from the bottom of my heart as a colleague in the field, I want to congratulate Professor Goldin. I also want to compliment the committee for making a wise and bold decision focusing on the economics of women, or gender economics, and acknowledging that history matters for understanding complex problems. Professor Goldin has, through her research, made considerable contributions to economics and economic history. She started her career investigating urban slavery in the United States from a labor market perspective, and then turned her attention to women in the economy. Her work is characterized by a sharp eye for identifying big and topical questions. Her work is also characterized by a clear theoretical framing and application of state-of-the-art methods to previously not investigated data. In that way, she is a true scientist. Her work on women's economic roles covers everything from employment, wages, occupational segregation, education, career advancements, or lack thereof, family formation, and the trade-off between work and family. More recently, she has devoted time to older women working longer, and last year, she published a book summing up why there are still gender gaps in careers and to what extent they stem from processes at the workplace or in the family. So why is this research important? Let me briefly tell you about one little part of Professor Goldin's research. A basic aspect of most labor markets in past and present times is persistent differences across groups such as gender and ethnicity, race. This affects individuals' economic independence and well-being, creating inequality, but also creating inefficiencies in the economy if these differences are due to discrimination. Some, but not necessarily all, differences in the labor market result from discrimination. Understanding the direct and indirect effects of discrimination is thus a very important task for economists, and of course of great relevance for policymakers if they want to make things right. In her now classic study of women in the US labor market, Professor Goldin puts forward the hypothesis that wage discrimination is a phenomenon that developed with the service economy and white-collar occupations becoming more common. Before 1900, wages were largely independent of gender because the tasks carried out were complicated and it was easy to measure what and how much everyone produced. Piece rates were often used, which means that you are paid per output produced, and this in principle prevents discrimination. A high level of competition in both product and labor markets existed, and since goods produced by most firms were pretty simple and standardized, it was easy to quantify production and control for quality. It was difficult for an individual employer to discriminate in ways that raised labor costs more than what labor produced, because paying, for example, men too much would have resulted in too expensive production. There was, however, a heavy premium on strength in both agriculture and industry, and strength is something that men on average have more of than women. Goldin describes this as the return to brawn, and has investigated and explained why gender discrimination emerged with the shift from brawn to brain, for which the playing field should be more level and gender neutral. One explanation to this is the role of career ladders and the increasing returns to tenure, seniority bonuses, and relatedly, more employer discretion when it comes to who to hire, promote, and set wages, new personnel practices, and less measurable output. This is not only important from a historical perspective, but it's still important, not less for professionals, and particularly in contexts where there are high returns to persistent careers. That means not taking breaks for taking time off for family responsibilities, and long hours. It has also bearing on why men and women sort into different types of occupation, which they still do, not less in Sweden, despite it being one of the most gender-equal countries in the world. It helps explain why some occupations persist more than others in being male or female dominated, and why some occupations change in gender coding over the course of time. When it comes to occupational segregation, Professor Goldin has introduced a new theory of discrimination called the pollution theory. Put simply, occupations are defined by productivity characteristics. That is, what makes a good firefighter or a good nurse. Because there is not sufficient information regarding the value of the characteristic of, for example, an individual woman entering an all-male occupation, there is a risk that hiring her would reduce the prestige of the occupation. Professor Goldin has provided evidence of what the model predicts for segregation, but she has also shown that new job descriptions and emphasis on credential can dismantle stereotypes and reduce pollution in the labor market. The work by Claudia Goldin is important in many ways, both when it comes to setting economic history right and to emphasizing that economic problems of today cannot be solved or understood without considering the past. This cannot be achieved without expanding the base of knowledge through new data and working close to original sources to get a detailed understanding. Goldin included women into the vein of what we as economic historians call cliometrics, which was largely gender blind before. So this is what I tell my students who, since I started teaching, have read several works by Professor Goldin. Lecturing on the emergence of wage discrimination, feminization of the professions, and how generations of women in different ways have balanced work and family is a joy, and also means that students in Lund, though they are not many, have extended the group of dedicated followers of research that now is in fashion. And to end on a personal note, the work by Claudia Goldin has been a great inspiration for me. Having engaged with this great mind has been a privilege and something that I cherish as a scholar. Again, from all of us at Lund, and especially from me, congratulations, Claudia Goldin, who is honorary doctor at the faculty since 2011, on a prestigious award for an outstanding lifetime achievement.